Welcome back to this week's episode of the Skips Tactical Solutions podcast. This is episode 28, and I'm your host, Avery. And this week, I'm doing a follow-up interview with this special guest that we have already had on. And as a reminder, the live interview with myself and the special guest can be found on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Skips Tactical Solutions. And you can also find the link to the live interview below in the show notes if you're listening to it on your podcast player. All right, so back in episode 20, I interviewed Mychael Waller. So make sure that you pay really close attention to the things that we talk about, because this could have been any one of us that carry a firearm for personal protection. And I want to be honest with you guys, because from this interview, I realized that there were a couple of other subjects that I think are extremely important, and I really want to discuss them with you all. So if you have any questions, make sure that you reach out to us and ask us. And during the last episode, I shared that we were having a range day event, and that event was on 12 October, and the event was in the Tampa Bay area, and we truly appreciate each and every person that came out to the event and supported it. There were giveaways, demos, and raffles. And again, I would like to thank Palmetto State Armory, CMC Triggers, Sky Firearms, Potovich, and Guncraft Inc. for their generosity. There were people that had never handled firearms before, or that they had their hangups in regards to them, and it was truly a pleasure to have the opportunity to teach them about firearm safety, or just even being able to discuss the issues that they had in regards to firearms. And every single week, I shout out one of you amazing listeners for leaving your rating and reviews in your podcast player. So I truly appreciate each and every one of you for not only taking your time to listen to the episodes, but for also leaving your ratings and reviews in your podcast players. Every week, I choose to read one out loud and give them a shout out. All right, so now on to my final announcement, saving the best for last. I want to give a quick shout out to my Patreon supporters. All Patreon supporters that donate $10 and up get a shout out on the podcast. And our patron that donates $10 a month or up right now is Varden Gilroy. So if you have not checked out our Patreon page, you can check it out at patreon.com/Skips Tactical Solutions. And you can become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1 a month. I'm here today with a special guest. If you are familiar with the podcast, then you have definitely heard from him before. His name is Mychael Waller Sr., and he is here to do a follow-up interview with us about an incident that occurred with him. So, Mychael, thank you so much for coming back and giving us a follow-up interview.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me again, Skip.
All right, so for everyone who is not familiar with your incident, can you please update them on what exactly occurred?
May 27th on Memorial Day weekend, I was coming back from a training event, NOC, Training Learning Industry event in St. Louis, and I was approached by an armed gunman in Chicago coming to visit my girlfriend in the alley. I was approached by an armed gunman. I had my 5-year-old son with me, and a friend of mine, Devin, he was in the car at the time. I was walking in the alley, and I was approached by the gunman, and he opened fire on me, and I returned fire and was able to stop him, and that's kind of how that was how everybody heard about. That's the story everybody heard about me. So, yeah.
All right, so you had this incident, and it occurred around Memorial Day weekend, right?
Yeah, Memorial Day weekend happened on the 27th, yes.
Okay, so now that we're doing this interview, that was at least 5 months ago, and there's a couple of follow-up questions that I want to ask you, because I think it's really important that we not only hear directly from people who have experienced these types of events, but we want to hear from them and we want to learn from them as well. So thank you. Like I said, thank you again for coming back and updating us on what you've been through and answering the follow-up questions. So the first question that I do want to ask you, Mychael, is Do you feel like you have had any lasting effects in regards to the shooting?
Um, Definitely lasting effects. I'll never forget it. I mean, it was anytime you go through a situation like that, that type of trauma, it's something you will never forget. But I've been blessed. I thank God every single day. I survived. I've been blessed because I have a strong family that's been here, supporting me and helping me through any struggles I may have, and I'm just grateful, man, because it could have been bad, and I'm just grateful to God I had my firearm on me that day, and I was, carrying, and I had my concealed carry permit. So I thank the NRA for fighting for my Second Amendment rights, fighting for my right to carry a firearm because concealed carry is something that we just got in Chicago not that long ago. It's been about 5.5 years we have been. We got concealed carry here. So I'm definitely grateful that the NRA pushed for people in the state of Illinois and Chicago to carry a weapon. So because it saved my life that day. So definitely.
All right, so in regards to the incident, so you're in Chicago
Yeah.
and talking about any type of long-term effects on you, the individual who you encountered, what happened to
Mhm.
that individual?
The individual he ended up passing away 3 days after the shooting. He passed away from the gunshot wound to the head. Um, so that's the last I heard, and that's what I do know. The Chicago Police Department, definitely want to thank them because they were very professional. How they handled the situation with me. I didn't feel like a criminal. um, Yesterday, I talked to you off camera about this as well. Yesterday I went to court to get the arrest expunged off my record. So, and by the grace of God, that went very good. I was like, the judge ordered it into law yesterday. So back squeaky clean now.
Congratulations on that. And I definitely
Thank
want to
you.
touch on that a little bit later here in the interview. But so you said that the individual did pass away.
Yes, yes.
Um, and you are very grateful that you were able to get through this. Have you sought any outside counsel to help you with any kind of coping mechanisms as far as dealing with this?
Yes. I'm a Christian. I go to a church in Indiana, actually, called the Family Christian Center. I did seek counseling, not at that church, but I did seek Christian counseling, and I talked to a counselor. I definitely recommend if you go through anything, not necessarily a shooting, but anything where it's a lot of trauma and it's stressful to you. Definitely, it's extremely important to seek counseling after going through anything like that. So without a doubt, if I counseling is probably it definitely helped me get through um, this situation. But my family has been here, and I just thank God for my family, my mom, dad, my sisters, my son, my daughter. I mean, looking, talking to my son, talking to my trying to talk to my daughter. She's only a few weeks old. Baby talking with her, and that talking to them and talking to my girlfriend gets me through hard times. So definitely, you know that was a huge help, to me counseling outside of, just my family being there to help me. So
So I want to highlight a couple of things right here. The first thing that I want to highlight is major props to you. Huge shout out for seeking counseling because not to say that I know as a male because I am a female, but I would assume that as a male, it is kind of harder to seek out counsel and to say, hey, I need help dealing with this, but to also talk about your emotions. It just seems like males have a little bit harder time talking about their emotions because they always want to appear as if they're the stronger one. But sometimes, we do need to take a step back and we do need to talk about those emotions. So I appreciate you for sharing that because anyone else who may be dealing with this type of situation, they need to know that it's perfectly normal to seek counsel and to talk to someone because there's a lot of people who deal with PTSD in regards to these types of situations.
absolutely, PTSD is a real thing. I know there's a lot of people in the inner city of Chicago who are suffering from PTSD. Because it's a real thing. It's not something that just happens to people in the military. It's if you if someone else, not you don't have to physically go through it, but if somebody witnessed something like a shooting happen or somebody seeing somebody get shot, it's traumatizing to people. And some people they're suffering from PTSD and they don't even know it. So I mean, I definitely wish there was a lot more resources out there to help people that are suffering from PTSD or may not even know it, just to help them. I'm starting a nonprofit organization in 2020 to actually help inner city kids that are suffering from PTSD get some help, try to push them in the right direction and, teach them about firearm safety and, teach them that, not all guns are bad and how, owning being a responsible gun owner and owning a gun in the city in Illinois at all, it can have a positive outcome. So I want to let people know, like, hey, you gotta, get some training, and come talk to me. We can, I want to definitely want to help the kids and help the, not just kids but help adults as well. Anybody in the inner city of Chicago that are suffering from PTSD or suffering from anything, get them the right training and things like that. So. And I
Yeah.
appreciate you complimenting me about because a lot of males that suffer suffer from like any type of trauma situation. They don't like to go out there and get counseling because they think, oh, I'm a male. The ego gets in the way, and
Yeah.
you gotta put that stuff aside when at times, because as a male, you're the leader of the family. You're supposed to lead by example. If you're not together, then your family's not together. So I had to make sure myself was together first, so cause without me being together, my family's not going to be together because I'm the one who hold and I'm the one who lead the family. So I have to make sure I'm all together and stuff like that,
Yep.
and not suffering
And
from.
we kind of talked about males, but I think it's kind of that stigma within the African American community as well, to
Sure.
where, counseling's for white people or counseling's for weak people, they don't really need that. But it is so healthy to talk to somebody. And when you talk to people, you realize like you're not alone in anything, whether it's your kids misbehaving, whether it be relationship issues, with a spouse or with a friend. It's just those things that you need to talk to people and get through things. And sometimes they've been there, done that, and they can help you through, and you'll get through it a lot quicker than if you try to get through it on your own or you just try to act like it's not even happening, really.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100%. That's
I'm a
why.
huge advocate for counseling, and it's one of those things to where you don't realize how much you need it until you actually get it, and you get
Mhm.
it and you just feel so much better.
Right. Yep. Just getting another outside influence, to come and look at your situations. I definitely recommend them not being related to you, not because
Yeah.
just getting someone else to that doesn't judge you, that doesn't even know you, just to look at your situation as a whole and just kind of get let them get a look at it. Because you get so much help, man. Counseling was a huge help for me. So I thank God, and I tell you don't have to. I went to a Christian counselor too, so it was a little bit different for me. That's my religion, so I kind of not everybody not everybody wants to go to a church for counseling. Some people may want to just go to a completely private person that's non-religious, and that's fine too. I just I recommend just seeking counseling, whatever you can afford. Just go out there and do it because that can definitely save your life.
And that's one of the first things that I did when I heard about your situation. I kind of reached out to you, asked you
Yeah.
if you're okay, and I was just like, hey, counseling. Because although I did want to talk to you, I wanted to make sure that you were good first before we talked about anything. But the next thing that I kind of want to talk to you about is your son. So your son, at the time of that incident, he was 5, right?
Yeah, he was 5 years old.
So do you feel like that has impacted him at all?
Um, he, my son, I still feel like he was a little bit too young to really grasp everything that happened, but he definitely understands, that, hey, daddy, there was a shooting. He knows guns. My son owns guns himself, that I, bought for him, obviously, but I take him training, take him to the range. He understands what happened, but I still feel like he's too young to really understand that, hey, Dad actually had to take him in his life, for this and that reason. I'm grateful that he really doesn't understand, because I couldn't imagine, how traumatized he would have been if he was a little bit older. So I mean, now he's just being his normal self. I did take him to counseling with me, and he kind of was looking like, like, what is this? Doesn't understand really why he needs to be here. He wants to play the video game, and I'm just happy and I'm grateful to God that he is still just himself. So definitely.
And so I know when we talked before that you had mentioned that, he brought up the fact that, Daddy, you've been training and you've been doing all of this, to stop the bad guy. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something that, I think a lot of people don't realize how much our kids actually see. And when they see how you're out here and you're training and, we're doing all that to be able to stop a threat.
Absolutely, yeah. Because my son, he said he says that to me all the time. When the shooting happened, when I actually talked to him about that, he was like, "Yeah, Daddy, I remember." Like, he doesn't know what happened. He was like, "I saw you. You was pointing the gun at the guy, and you're shooting, and you saved my life. You're my hero, and this is what you practice for." And I was like, "Oh." And I appreciate that, MJ. Because he told me this is what you practice for. Like, this is, I seen you, always with your gun and pointing in a safe direction. And I was dry firing. He's like, you're pointing your gun and you're always practicing and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, I gotta get my dry fire in and gotta practice because, like I started my new slogan. My hashtag train or die. That's so serious. You have to train. You have to. It's your responsibility to to be ready for any type of altercation that happens, it's your responsibility as a parent, no matter if you're a, father or, mother, it's your responsibility to protect your kids and other people, around you. And us as responsible gun owners, it is our job to make sure we protect other people around us, not just ourselves, because knowing what's beyond your target when you do have to fire that weapon. So just grateful.
And I think it's good that, you're definitely leading by example and he's saying, how to be a responsible gun owner, how to take that training serious. So now that we're talking about training, I kind of want to segue into, since this incident has occurred, so you literally were leaving a training event when it happened.
Yeah.
Have you increased your training since that incident occurred?
Yes. I was leaving that's where I was coming back from. I was still in a rental car. I was leaving the NOC Training and Learning Industry event. Um, and after, immediately right after the shooting, I don't think it was 2 days after the shooting, I signed up for like 5 classes and paid for them. And out of my own money, wasn't a sponsor, paying for my events and things like that. I paid out of my own money to go to these different training classes. I took tactical response, prime protection, STL. I'm alumni at all those schools. More NOC with training with Kevin Dixie and some local classes as well. Definitely want to get to one of your classes or two. Definitely want to get into one of your classes before the year end, or at least by the beginning of next year. But to answer your question, I definitely seek a lot of training, even some medical training. I believe medical training is very, very important. It's even more important than actually training with a firearm, because you're more likely to shoot yourself with your own gun than actually even use your gun to conceal like a defensive situation. So I definitely recommend anybody who is listening in on this podcast right now to go seek medical training first, because that's the most important training I believe there is out here.
And I absolutely agree with you about the medical training. I think a lot of people don't think about how often they will be able to use medical training. You could use medical training at the scene of an accident. Like, how often do people get into
Right.
accidents, And if
Mm-hmm.
you're at an accident, you can literally be the first responder. And that's your job to maybe stop someone from bleeding out or apply CPR, whatever you need to do. But if you don't have the training, then you're not going to be able to be effective. But you could apply a tourniquet to yourself. You could use CPR or, stop the bleed, anything like that with someone in your immediate family. So these are things that we don't want you to have the mindset that it'll to you, because you never know what's going to happen. And you always want to be prepared for these types of incidents that may happen.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree 100%, Skip. That's true. I mean, if medical training is key. I mean, we have to. I think it's very important that us as responsible gun owners get seek training. Owning a gun is just not that's not enough. It's not at all. It's a lot of incidents where people who fire a gun, because you have to know what's beyond your target. When you still have to practice, firearm safety, even when you're in a situation like that, because knowing what's beyond your target is, important, because you can't take that bullet back and you'll be in jail defending yourself, and you're not even a criminal. No criminal history like myself. My first time ever having handcuffs on my wrist was that day, and yeah, we're responsible. We have to set a better example. So I think it should be mandatory that people get training when they do own a firearm, because without training, a gun can be a very bad situation.
Yeah.
You put two guns together and no training, it can be terrible. There's a lot of incidents in Chicago where there's innocent bystanders getting hit inside the houses, or even Chicago police. Because police, a lot of officers are not trained. And they need to go out there and seek training too. I think that in a lot of incidents where there's innocent people getting hit, because people they don't have the proper training behind guns. So I mean, it's important. It's definitely important.
And so we talked initially. So for those of you tuning in, you don't know this, but we definitely tried to have this interview before, and we had to redo the interview. But we talked before about stray bullets. And I think a lot of people don't understand the concept of a stray bullet. When you are shooting at a target, first of all, you should always have a target when you're shooting. You shouldn't just be shooting up in the air or just be shooting a gun just for the fun of it. You always
Right.
need to have a target. And if you don't know what's beyond your target, what's beyond your target may be an innocent person. It may be a home with someone sleeping in it. And I have recently been watching more of the news. I try not to watch the news because it's like very depressing. You're like, oh my God, this is happening, or oh my God, that's happening. But I've seen a lot of stories of stray bullets hitting people. It's like someone sitting on their couch watching TV, or someone in the bed sleep, and stray bullets are just killing an alarming amount of people. And I think you shared that there was a little girl was it Halloween?
Yes, on Halloween there was a little girl who is fighting for her life, I believe, right now in the hospital. And that happened down the street from where my incident happened in Little Village. For people who don't know what Little Village is, it's a predominantly Hispanic neighborhood, full of different type of gangs like Latin Kings, Spanish Disciples, and so forth, and other gangs. There was a little girl who got shot. It was all gang related. They accidentally hit her. She got shot in the head, I believe, and I believe she's fighting for her life right now. So that's what we were talking about. Just people, thugs and criminals. They don't go out there and get training, and they have these firearms, and even people who are responsible gun owners who don't have firearms. It just accident. These things are happening because they don't have the proper training. So it's
And
unfortunate.
these bullets don't have GPSs in them or names on them to where they're going directly to these targets. So you need to make sure that you get training. And again, major props to you for going out there and seeking that additional training. And I'm sure an event like that will definitely make you think once or twice about, okay, if I went through this event and I experienced this, how can I up my game? How can I make sure that when something else happens, or if something else happens, although we don't ever want anything to happen, that we're going to be truly prepared for it, and we've trained for it, and that we know we've done everything to the best of our ability. So major props on you for getting out there and spending your hard-earned money on this type of training, and for adding medical to it as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I appreciate it. It's definitely it changed my life. Like I enjoy training so much now. You're an instructor yourself. Um, it's great. Like I love training more than I love buying guns now and buying other stuff. Like you like, well, I don't think I bought another gun. Well, no, I lied, but my buying guns have completely went to like almost a standstill stop. I just been paying for training and playing my playing fair and things like that. Everything I need to get there and ammunition and things like that, and just investing into the business, obviously. But other than training is fun. Like I don't, for me personally, I training is it definitely calms me down. It's a good it's relaxing. It's also a good way to. I really enjoy going to the gym. I don't post a lot on MJ's Firearms because that's not my personal page. But I go to the gym almost every single week, almost 5 days out of the week, even sometimes every day. And that's exercise in itself. You got
Yep.
fitness, you have CrossFit training, and even with a firearm, it all works hand in hand in a way. So it has a lot of benefits. Not even physically. Training can help you out just staying active, staying physically fit. So
And I like that you mentioned that, you've been investing in training and not just buying guns, because I see so many people talk about guns and, they're buying this and they're getting this and it's Gucci and, they're doing all that. But I mean, they don't even be knowing how to clear out their gun.
that's the crazy part. Like I'm pretty sure, Skip, you ran into a bunch of people because, like you said, excuse me, a lot of people they buy these Gucci Glocks and they buy all these fancy expensive guns, and I was that guy for a short period of time. But at the same time now, it's I just laugh because they don't know how to even clear out their gun. They can't they can't clear malfunction. They can't even get shots on target. And I mean, not anybody can hit a man-sized target 2 feet in front of you, but these people have no real training. They can't even hit a target 15 feet away and their groups are all over the place, and they're so
They don't
worried
even
about
have
falling.
groups. It looks like they're shooting shotguns.
Hey, you cold blooded. You was like they shoot some buckshot or some some light game load or something. Like just their shots are all over the place on the target. But yeah, no, I agree with you. I've been to the range and I see those guys all the time. I see those guys all the time. They talk the biggest stuff too. Like those are, I call them the wish would guy. Like they can hit. I wish somebody would. Jesus Christ, I just laugh. It's
And
hilarious.
I know we're kind of laughing about it now, but it is very serious. If
Oh,
you
absolutely.
are buying all this equipment, make sure that you are proficient in how to use it. You know how to manipulate your
Absolutely.
firearm. You know the difference between target ammo and self defense ammo, because there's a lot of people who don't know the difference between the two, and that can be a huge difference when it comes to saving your life. But so Mychael has been out there training. He's been getting medical training. He has been getting tons of firearm training, and I've been following him on Instagram. And if you guys are not following him, make sure that you follow him at MJ's Firearms. But MJ's Firearms 33, right?
Yes, on Instagram. This MJ's Firearms LLC on Facebook. But I know you follow me on both, but yeah, on Instagram, MJ's Firearms 33.
And I've been seeing all the training that he's been doing. So if you have not gotten out and trained in 2019, I would love for you to just make it a goal to get out there and get training and train with
Absolutely.
different people, because everybody has their different teaching style. And it's important for you to gather little tidbits from everybody and kind of make your own. And we talked about your medical training. We talked about your firearms training. Now I want to talk about your everyday carry. And so we'll probably refer to that as EDC from here on out. But your everyday carry, how has that changed at all from the incident?
Slightly. I've learned a lot of things after the incident. That's why I seek training right after. But to answer your question, yes, my loadout, my EDC, everyday carry has changed slightly. Um, I carry a Glock 19, and the holster is this is NSR tactical holster, but I I recommend that's my baby right there. I carry the 19 with my rounds. I carry the critical defense horny rounds. I love those. I carry my light and a knife. I carry extra magazines now. That is something that has changed. More ammunition because in just off of facts, 2019, I read there. You're more than likely going to shoot to zero. There's probably 1 to 7 rounds in a gunfight. In my incident, I did fire all 16 rounds because you never know, and I did run out of ammunition, and I did not have a spare magazine on me during that time. But every single day now, I make sure I have a spare magazine, maybe even 2 or 3, depending on where I'm going. If I'm going into large crowds or I'm going into like a concert or something like that where I can't legally carry a firearm, I do have extra magazines. So my loadout has changed after that incident. I carry, like I said, the 19 and extra magazines.
And so I do want to kind of circle back on something that you just said. So you talked about how you use 16 rounds, and I want to cover the fact that you did already have a round in the chamber, right?
Yes, yes, I'm happy. I'm happy you said that. I did have a round in the chamber, and I definitely recommend people carrying one in the chamber because it being not loaded as it's pointless. She's like wearing a seatbelt and you're about to get in a car accident. Hurry up and throw it on. It doesn't work like that. When something happens, it happened, and your gun needs to be ready at all times. So my gun is, as of right now, even inside the house, it is hot and loaded and ready to go. I keep it in the holster just in case I don't put my finger on the trigger, but it's ready. It's loaded. So, and I recommend anybody that is carrying a firearm that they keep around inside the chamber at all times because you never know what happens. So.
And then you spoke about, and I know we talked about this on the initial interview, but with your adrenaline, everything that was going on, being in that stressful situation, you had to shoot more than one round. You had to shoot multiple rounds to stop your threat.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, your threat was still shooting back at you. So the reason why I want to cover this is because, and I just talked to a customer about this today, sometimes when we watch movies and things like that, it's the one shot and the person dies, right?
Right.
And, real life is not necessarily like that. So don't get
Mm-hmm.
into the mindset of, I'm going to shoot this person one time. And then if I see anyone shoot someone more than one time, it's overkill, because it's not technically overkill until that threat has stopped. And then the people keep going. But sometimes you may have to shoot more than one round because there's people who are on drugs. There's people who are just crazy. Or maybe they have, they might even have on a bulletproof vest up under there.
Yeah,
You
you
never
never
know.
know. Mm-hmm. And that has happened. And I'm happy you mentioned that, Skip, because, and people, that carry guns and they have that mindset and they have those big egos. They think, oh man, I carry a 45 or I carry 9, whatever the case is. I have these special rounds in here, and I'm just gonna drop him on the first shot. When I go to the range, my groups are like this. Man, I learned a lot. When you shooting in your side of range and your groups are like this, when a person is moving, your groups are like this. It's not.
It's like game over. Like
it's the person, like your groups are. It's gonna spread a lot, and and depending on the situation, you may have to fire more than 1 rounds. I had my son with me. I had to get him to safety, so I had to, as I grab him, I had to make sure I get shots off to get, for cover fire to get my son to safety. It's a lot of things people don't think about. And reading the NRA article that they shared on my story, I saw a lot of comments on there like, "Oh, this guy." A lot of people were very respectful. Like, oh, they said I was a good shot and things like that. And I heard some guys like, he doesn't have good training because he shot the guy in the head. For the record, the guy was hit multiple times. He wasn't just hitting the head. They just put the headshot on the news because that's what sells, a headshot.
Yeah.
So they don't, they don't even think about that. I do believe training, shooting center mass is very important. That is what I practice. And just in that situation, it was when somebody's moving and somebody's shooting back at you, things change completely. It's not like being at the range. It's not like everything slows down. You get some people may get it. It's called tunnel vision. That's what I experienced in that situation, and my mind took screenshots. I don't even remember seeing my sights. 95% of the gunfight I was in. I didn't remember seeing my sights. My mind took a picture, like a photo picture, like, because I remember seeing my sights, and I remember seeing him in my sights for a very short period of time, almost for those first 2 rounds that went off. And a lot of people don't think about that, and they think that it's gonna go like the movies, and that's not true. It's not
And
true.
or it's also not going to go like the range. At the range, you're like,
Not
all
at
right.
all.
You know how people are like, okay, well, I need to wait until my target stops moving, swaying a little bit, and then it's
Right.
like, oh, somebody beside me shooting, so I want to wait until they're done shooting.
Yeah, get that a lot too, and that's people don't think about that, man. It's a really really serious thing, thing. It's not gonna go how it went. When I got my gun out that holster, my shirt got snagged. I just say, hold on, Mister Bad Guy, let me get my shirt untangled. No, I just ripped it out, ripped my shirt, and just was going after it, and people don't think about that. So you gotta train, because you never know what's gonna happen. It may not go the way you think it is gonna go, but I learned a valuable lesson, and that's the person who wins the gunfight is the person who makes the least mistakes. It's very true. I made less mistakes than that guy that day. I did make mistakes, and that is why I went to seek training literally days after. But the person who wins the gunfight is the person who makes the less mistakes. It's a fact. So that day he made more mistakes than I did, and I'm grateful that I'm still alive and well to talk about it.
And something that I do want to add to that, though, Michael, is, you did highlight the fact that you did make mistakes, but there's not a playbook when it comes to these incidents. It's not like, okay,
Right.
if you get to this point, then the person's going to do this. So you do the best you can with what you have, and your training kicks in. Like whatever training you've had, whatever dry fire skills you have, all of that kicks in for those types of moments. So they're not going to be perfect just because it's real life, and in real life, nothing's perfect.
No, absolutely not. I missed a lot of shots that day. He was hit multiple times. The officer, the investigator, didn't tell me how many times he was hit, but he was hit multiple times. And I wasn't hit, or he had a scratch on me, and neither did my son that was sitting right next to me, or was standing right next to me. You are gonna miss. People don't think that that's real, and I don't feel bad for missing. Some of those shots, but at the end of the day,
I mean, you're not standing at a perfectly still target. Someone's
right.
literally
You
shooting
will
back at
miss.
you.
You will miss. Like it's gonna be. You will miss, but at the end of the day, like I said, the person who makes the least mistakes wins, and they survive. So
Yep.
that's just what it was. He got a shot off on me. A lot of people don't know this, but that man got a shot off on me and my son first. I did not fire my weapon first. He fired his weapon first, and he missed, and that was a mistake that he made that he can't take back. And
Yeah.
I was able to stop him. So definitely grateful.
We're definitely grateful that you were able to have the ability to protect yourself, and not just yourself, but your son, and then anyone else that was around that wouldn't be able to defend themselves, because obviously he was someone that had some serious issues going on. But like, what if it would have been a young lady walking through the alley that didn't have means to defend herself that day, and it wasn't you with your son, who actually had a concealed carry permit and was able to defend themselves. So I'm definitely glad that you were able to. I'm glad that you were properly trained and properly armed to defend yourself and your son.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Skip. I'll talk to you. I appreciate you also for reaching out to me, because you didn't just direct message me or just like, hey, let me just interview on you. You actually was very nice, and you actually contacted me and asked was I okay. And I appreciate that. Not just me, but my son and my family as well. So I appreciate it. You reaching out and contacting me, make sure I was okay. And even, doing this follow-up, interview with me. So I definitely feel very blessed, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk on your podcast again.
Yeah, well, we bam
more to
bam.
come. Right.
So I do want to ask you a couple more questions, and then I'll let you go, because I do appreciate the time that you've given us so far. But As far as the incident, you have shared with us a lot of things that you have learned from the incident, but is there anything else that you would like to share with the audience that you learned from that day, or just learned that you've actually dealt with within the past 5 months?
A few things. Things I learned that day. If you cannot be there, if there's any way you can avoid it, try to avoid it. Because I did my best, to avoid that situation. But if you can if there's any way you can avoid a situation, or if you don't have to be there, don't be there, because it's no such thing as a coward, in a gunfight. And I believe if you have to run, or you have to if you can escape that, that's a blessing. It's a win-win. Nobody had to get shot, nobody died. But I definitely, if I can tell you guys anything that is, listening to this podcast right now, with Skip's Tactical and me, definitely get some more training, get some medical training, because there was a lot of things, even in my situation. I feel like I could have did a better job saving the guy that I shot. And a lot of people don't. They think we're, people that carry guns, and us as responsible gun owners, we're bad people. We just want to shoot people. I also tried to apply a tourniquet to that guy, but I didn't have my tourniquet on me. So carrying a tourniquet on your personal body, also with a gun, is very important, because you can potentially save. Sometimes you may have to save the guy. I don't know, somebody, their mindsets, but you may want to save the person that you shot, and you just never know. So I mean, just seeking training, and keeping a level head on your shoulders is definitely key, because I want us to all look good as responsible gun owners, and we don't need to have a negative impact or negative outlook on us. So we got to be responsible, and we got to definitely have to hold it down for us, our Second Amendment people.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. Something else that I would like you to touch on really quick is, I know yesterday when me and you met up, you were all GQ. You had just left from court. Can you share with everyone? So that's why we didn't use the other interview, because he was just so swagged out, and I was just in a t-shirt, so we couldn't use that interview. Just
I had
kidding.
on a dress shirt and a tie. I wasn't even all that. Okay, thank you.
So, what I do want you to share, if you're able to, can you share the process of what you actually went through yesterday? Because I think a lot of people don't understand that part of it. They, even if you are not found guilty of anything, there was an additional step that you had to take.
Right. You just because you don't get charged with a crime, and depending on the police department, this may not be for everybody, and I hope it's not. But even for myself, I have a lot of family in law enforcement, even some in FBI and ATF and things like that, local police officers. I took the time to see, because I am a licensed FFL. That's my business, MJ's Firearms. I'm a firearms dealer in Illinois, and I took the time to see if there was anything on my background, even though I know I wasn't charged with anything, because I'll be in jail, obviously. But when I did take the time, and I had a family member look at my background, it was an arrest on my background. Not charged with anything, no misdemeanors, no felonies, nothing like that. But there was an arrest on my background. I actually took the time and told my lawyer, which I already hired them, but I told my lawyer, I'll have it expunged, and he immediately started the process to get it expunged off my record as soon as possible. And even already in the same year, he got it. We got it expunged as of yesterday. So I took, I'm definitely grateful. It was ordered into law yesterday that I will not be, not have an arrest on my record. So definitely grateful, back squeaky clean, because I know the ATF is probably looking in on this interview, and they're like, we got him. So I gotta make sure I'm squeaky clean, because when the ATF, they're strict. So I want to make sure there's nothing on there, so I don't get my license taken away. So
thanks for sharing that. And another thing that I would like to highlight about what Mychael just shared is, he was a legal gun owner, and he still went through the steps to double check to make sure that his record was clean. So I do appreciate you for sharing that, because, you know, something like that on his record, like you said, you know, with him being a firearms dealer, that could impact him negatively. But I do appreciate you sharing everything with us today. I'm so proud of you. You've been out there getting it in. And I mean, you are young. I'm not going to say it like I'm like super old, but I
You
am
still
older.
young too.
But, you know, you've been through a very traumatic event. And I know it wasn't just a traumatic event for you, but it was a traumatic event for your family as well. And what I did not know initially when the incident occurred was that your girlfriend was pregnant. So, you know, I'm sure that was just a whole lot that you guys dealt with. And congratulations on your baby girl.
Appreciate it, baby Caitlin. She's alive. She's well. She's healthy. I'm just grateful she's good, and she's been a huge joy to my life. Very happy. I've been now just bought a 50 cal BMG. I got a daughter now. I got to make sure I protect her. But yeah,
Okay.
but no, she's been great though.
And so, a few more questions. Are there any goals that you have that you would like to share with the audience? I'm all about self-improvement, you know, getting out there, doing what we need to do. It's not all just about guns. It's about just being better citizens and productive individuals. Is there any goals that you would like to share so we can keep you accountable?
Right. Okay. Yes, a lot. 2020 is going to be great. After SHOT Show, I hope to see you there, because remember,
Yes.
we got to go out. Me, you, and your husband, and my girlfriend, and the baby. Hopefully, we bring her. We'll go get some food and hang out. But after SHOT Show, I'm definitely getting a lot more training. I'm hitting the ground running. Because training is a few things. It's personally, you get more training just for yourself, and networking. We network like crazy when we're at different events and things like that. So even training events. So a lot more training. I'll be getting on YouTube a lot more heavily. Like YouTube's going to be like my next big thing. I'm gonna, I love Instagram too as well, but Instagram, like you told me, I skipped, she schooled me to the game. Like, hey, Instagram don't pay you. You can have 500,000 followers on Instagram, and Instagram don't pay you a cent. I got to get to YouTube so I can get this money. So I'm definitely going to be getting on YouTube a whole lot more. I got a lot of guns that a lot of companies have been sending me to, so to just giving guns away to me to review. So I'm going to be getting on YouTube a whole lot more now. So I'll be calling you, Skip, to get some pointers, because I know your YouTube channel is it looks good.
It's a baby.
It's a baby, but it's growing. It's growing, and it looks great. I mean, you just you push you definitely have really good content that's being pushed out there. So I watched all your videos and I love them. So I mean, I think you do a really good, excellent job. I'll be getting some pointers from you on how to push and get these good videos, and you can help me potentially with my YouTube channel. So hopefully that's gonna be next. Also, I'm starting a nonprofit organization, like I mentioned earlier, helping kids in the inner city of Chicago. Not just the Chicago, but that's just where my this is the headquarters. This is where everything started from. So this is where I'll be touching the inner city of Chicago kids and Chicago people first. But yeah, that's the next big thing. My nonprofit organization and more training. Just a bunch of just if you follow me on Instagram, MJ's Firearms 33, or Facebook page, MJ's Firearms LLC, YouTube channel, MJ's Firearms, that I just started a few days ago. But you'll be seeing a lot more content from me. So.
And can you share your website with them, just in case they want to go out and purchase a firearm from you?
Yes, if you want to purchase firearm, ammunition, holsters, anything like that, my T-shirts also. If you want anything like that, yeah, they'll be on there as well. My website name is mjsfirearms.com. So all lowercase, mjsfirearms with an s.com. And they can go on there and they can check out, buy any gun that they want. As long as they're a law-abiding citizen, they have no misdemeanors and no felonies on their record, or no bad misdemeanors. I don't know how their state is, but yeah, they're good to go.
And just to kind of add to that, if you guys would like to purchase, if you don't know how to purchase a firearm online, I'll be dropping a video on that soon. But you can purchase a firearm from MJ's website, and he will ship it to a store local to you. So you can support him in what he does. And I would highly encourage you guys, even if you just want to go check out his website and see what he has available, make sure that you do that and you go out and support him. You already shared your links. Make sure that you guys check him out on YouTube. He said his channel's new, Facebook, Instagram, and his website. And I know that you mentioned before that you had an event that was coming up towards the end of this year. Would you like to share that with them?
Yes, that is. Well, I appreciate you for saying that. It's just the event is going to be it's going to be pretty small. I think it's going to be a whole lot bigger than I think, but it's just a thank you event. My first year in business, I'll be doing hosting an event in December. I do not have exact dates right now, but it will be in December. Look in the first week of December. I'll be hosting a event here in Illinois, local to me. So follow my Instagram page because I'll be putting out the dates and the address and where to go to. And the event's gonna be really nice. But it's just a big thank you to everybody who purchased a gun from me or anybody who supports me or want to support me. Come on out and I'll be giving out free merchandise, T-shirts, and things like that. If you bought a gun from me, if not, you can go on my website. The T-shirts will be on there, the price and things like that. But I'll be giving away a lot of free stuff. I'm very generous. I'll be having a range day. We'll have food. I'll be doing like range games and stuff like that, contests and things like that. I'll be giving out different bags and things like that for like cleaning gear and just a bunch of stuff. Like it's gonna be a ball though. Like I have whenever I go to the range, everybody knows me. Like I just we shut it down. Like it's gonna be so much fun. And here in Illinois, we got some of the best food. We're gonna have pizza. We're gonna have a lot of stuff. We're gonna be eating good. You want to eat good. You want to have a good time. You want to be around like-minded people and responsible gun owners. Come on out and come out and support me.
And now I'm like super jealous. I wish I was in the area, wish I was able to come because I would definitely come and support it as well. But if you are someone who may be new to firearms, if you're in his area, please reach out to him. Go out and support the event because everyone can learn. And even if you don't want to go out and shoot, you can just go out and support the event and be around some like-minded individuals. I definitely would come and support if I could, but maybe I'll come to your next one. I just had my very first range day, and it, like you just said, maybe more people are going to show up than you expected. I definitely had more people come out than I expected.
Yeah.
And I only wanted, and I didn't advertise it, there was no promotions, no ads. It was just word of mouth, individuals who, truly support me and
Right.
not individuals who wanted to come out and just use up my ammo. So I had a blast at my first range day, and it was just genuine people who wanted to come out. And we had quite a few first-time shooters, people who had never even touched a gun before and maybe had some hangups about it. And all of them left like, okay, I want to take a class, or okay, I'm really open to this now. So that was a win in my book, regardless of the amount of money that I spent. It was people who I had never even, some of them I had never even met before, but they were introduced to me, they were introduced to my brand, and they were introduced to firearms and self-protection. So major props to you for putting on that event. And I hope that and I know it'll be a huge success, but I hope that a lot of people come out and support it.
Yeah, I hope so too. I have a good feeling. I think it's gonna be a lot more people than I think because I got a lot of people messaging me now. Like they're excited, so it's gonna be fun. Like I'm gonna have fun regardless. I will have instructors there. I am not an instructor for the people who do know me. I'm not an instructor, but I will have a licensed NRA instructor there, and I will have medical training there as well. My girlfriend's an RN, my sister's an EMT, so I'll have different people coming there and instructors to actually teach medical training and stuff like that. So we'll have different things. We'll have a little small little medical class, maybe 35, 45 minutes, but even that 35, 45 minutes class is going to be, or just that little lecture is going to be a whole lot more than a lot of people may think. So, and a lot of people may get a lot from that. So, we'll have basic firearms instructor there, and some medical instructors there, and medical people to actually just teach just how to just do tourniquets and things like that to give some people some something else to think about, and give them an idea of how to use their equipment that they already probably have, or go out there and get some stuff, the proper equipment for medical training and stuff like that. So, yeah. I'm excited. I'm
super excited for you.
I'm about to start doing some. You got me pumped now. I'm about to just get on this internet and start ordering up all of this stuff and banners and get the ball on the roll for this event. So
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I know you've almost been on for an hour with us, so I do appreciate you and your time, and I appreciate your family for lending you to us for this amount of time. And you always know you have my phone number. You can connect with me anytime that you need anything, and I'm extremely proud of you, and I can't wait to see you for SHOT Show. So
Yeah.
thanks for tuning in.
I appreciate you too, Skip. Thank you for having me.
I would like to wrap this episode up by saying thank you again to Mychael Waller Sr., owner of MJ's Firearms, for sharing his journey with us. We would love for you to leave a rating and a review in your podcast player, and don't forget to reach out and let us know what you think. And I hope that you will join us for our next episode.